Good day to you. How are you? My name is Jerry, and I have a mission. I have something that I need to do, and it came from God because that's who I serve. My mission, I will tell you about in a few minutes, but I want to introduce myself to you because I like to have a very candid relationship with anyone that I associate with. If I look occasionally to my notes, it's because I do have to stay on point, and I hope you forgive me if, in fact, you're distracted by that. Okay. My name is Jerry. I'll repeat it, and I'm a family man. First of all, I believe in God. I believe in family. I believe in friends. I believe in happiness. I believe in love. I believe in caring and sharing and all the basic good things that humanity should do with and to each other. My background is a simple one. I came from a little small town in Mississippi. As a matter of fact, it was so small that if you're driving 60 miles an hour, you probably pass through it and won't even know it. You know. I have 7 siblings. There was 8 of us. I went to a school that had an outhouse in my early childhood. And I've seen a lot of things happen over the years. And I've been living 72 years. And I've been through a lot and had a lot of experiences. And I want to tell you about my most recent experience, which was 31 years of incarceration. I spent 31 years of perpetual incarceration in Angola. I've been out for a little 3 years and a few months. And I have a message that I must get across to whomever is willing to listen. I'm not getting paid to do this. God has commissioned me to do this because it's something that I saw some years ago. But let me finish telling you a little bit about my background. During these 31 years in prison, I went through a lot of different things, you know. First of all, I was a dissident when I first went there because I didn't like conditions and treatment, you know, and let's face it, prison life is not suitable to the evolving standards of human decency, which is what I was expecting. Even though I was a prisoner, I still didn't leave my morals, my principles, my values, and my love for society. When I stepped through those prison gates, I brought it with me, you know. So my concern was perpetually about how society is going to be for my children and other people's children and my cousins, nieces, and nephews. In other words, society was in me even though I was inside a prison. And the subject I'm going to talk to you about, I want to tell you about a little bit about that too. So I'm going to fast forward and tell you I have 4 children and 8 grandchildren, and we have a love affair. And in spite of my incarceration, I would like to think that I held up to a certain degree of parental concern throughout my prison journey. And I used to tell my kids all the time that they were my heroes, because if anything bad ever happened, then I would persecute myself and I would be ashamed, you know, and it would be an extra burden, too much of a burden to carry along with that time. So my parenting was through letters. My parenting was through networking with my brothers and sisters at certain points and holidays that I thought I could get a little help from them to make my kids' holidays a little better, you know. So I basically talked about everything to my children through the written page and occasional phone call or occasional visit. But I would like to think that I did give them a value system. And I would like to think that I'm qualified to talk to you on this subject I'm going to talk to you on tonight or today or whenever you're viewing this. Okay, so much for my history, all right? And if you need to know more, well, I hope this is not the last time you hear from me. I have a passion for wanting to see America get better. And God gave me a commission to tell what he gave me in vision for America to you. And that is, we need our children to be parented. And that stems from watching society as the morals and mores and values constantly decline year after year after year. And looking at that decline, it has to be a reason. It never leveled out. It just kept declining. All right? And we know that children don't raise themselves. Parents have to raise them. And that is what I'm going to be talking to you about. Predominantly is parenting. And parenting is a job. Okay, I know many of you might not take that view of parenting, but it is a job. It's the only full-time job you ever have, as a matter of fact. Because if you do work for somebody else and you get a call, say one of your kids is something wrong with them, what are you going to do? You're going to get off that job. You're going to see about that kid. Because that's your full-time job, your child. Okay? And children are full of sin. The Bible tells us that. That's a punishment. Adam and Eve, that in that garden, they messed up in that garden. So that's a punishment. Children are full of sin, really. And it's up to the parent to lead them and guide them away from sin and out of sinful situations. Now, so one might ask the question, why did God choose to send this message to you at this time? Well, let's think about a few things. I wrote a few things down, as a matter of fact. Let me give you a few of these. Okay. One reason we might need parenting is because everything has exacerbated to the point where we have to sit in church pews now with guns. We have to facilitate our house with burglar bars. We can't really safely just drive down the street and be secure in our own car because somebody might carjack it. Somebody might snatch someone's purse and it makes them uncomfortable because they got to cling to it all day, all night, or whoever they're at. You can't even sit on your porch, really, in a crowded area, maybe, and maybe not be a little bit nervous about getting a stray shot that wasn't even intended for you. I would say that something caused all this. Something caused, because it wasn't like that, especially when I was born. You could leave your doors open, and guys got in fist fights, and they didn't think about going and getting guns and shooting and killing anybody for a little simple argument. Everything is going down, 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 down. And the specific reason, one of the main reasons, is for a lack of parenting. Okay? Now let me explain that a little bit. All right? You see, the parenting begins as soon as that child is born. Of course, you know that. But parenting actually never ends. Okay? It never ends. Because you'll be a parent as long as you live. Even in bringing up your kid. He's the first one you talk to and the last one you talk to. You're that person that he talked to. First one and the last one. So your influence is greater over the whole day than anybody else's. Because you're his role model. You're the one he looks up to, or she look up to. When they first born, all they do is just observe, just look. And then they begin to touch. Then they connected with sound, if they cry out loud, they know a pretty face or might appear, or some gentle hands might pick them up. They might feel the warmth of a breast that they were familiar with. It, when the female was carrying the child. All of these things. I'm trying to get you to realize the significance of how important it is to let our young people envision what you're seeing now as I talk about a little child being born and certain conditions being present. Such as if you ever just observe a little kid, they showing you something early, because they know if they cry, they're gonna get that face. They're gonna see somebody soon, And if they bit later on, they learn if they bang on something, they're gonna grab somebody's attention. All of these little things there's a progression with them. All right? But what you need to realize is that it takes 18 years of these type of little developments. And these developments get bigger and more serious as they get older. It takes absolutely 18 years for a human being to be considered to be independent, being able to take care of himself, being for themselves. That's an awful long time. That is an extreme amount of time for it. But God didn't make any other animal that it took that long, nowhere near that long, to fully develop. And so why can't anybody see that that's a job that you have to do? Okay? That's a job. From 0 to 18 years old, it's a full-time job, and you have to perform that job correctly to produce a godly child, or a child who's going to be a good citizen, or a child who's going to embrace love, care, concern, and all the other positive aspects of life toward humanity. You have to see them go through these stages. And that's complicated. Why that's not a job? And why would anyone, using common sense, reason, and logic, and practicalities, even think that we shouldn't have parenting in class? Because we have people having babies who don't know anything about them. The best job that a parent can do today that has a baby is on-job training. I mean, in the majority, that is. I'm not, because nothing is 100%. Some of you ladies might read parenting magazines and all this before you have a baby. Maybe you have done extensive study, but the overwhelming majority have not. The overwhelming majority perhaps can't tell you why 2-year-olds do what they do. They call them what? Terrible twos? And they give them little labels. He's bad or she's bad, But are they really? How much you know about a 2-year-old? How much you know? How much have you thought about that little 2-year-old? Well, for number one, that little 2-year-old has been observing a lot of stuff, and he's been trying to move here and move there, but his skill of observation is beginning to connect with his movement and actions and stuff. He began to see that he could do some of the same stuff he'd been seeing everybody else do all that time. Wow, when he get 2 years old, he got a little dexterity with his hand coordination, and he can go over and see you try to plug something up, and he gonna try to plug it up too. Because he figured he can do that. If you could do that, he can do that. He can run, walk a little bit. He think he big stuff, or she think they big stuff. They got a few words and all this, but you got to remember one thing. They still a child, but they showing you the development of all that other year and whatever leads up to that 2 years. All right? And what it is a stage of independence. Now, if you're a parent and you don't know that that's a stage of independence that 2-year-olds go through, and they've studied thousands, maybe millions of them to get this fact, they basically all go through this same thing. They don't do anything you tell them to do, not out because they're bad. It's because they found out they can do what you can do, and they want to see just how much they can do. They want to do everything they see. And they don't have enough words yet to comprehend when people abuse them. And I'm going to tell you what abuse is. And I want you to say in your mind, tell the truth. Have you seen this happen? Have you seen a mother whipping on a 2 or 3-year-old? Boy, did not tell you not to do that. Girl, did not tell you. Or a man doing it. Have you seen it? I think maybe you have. And if you have, what you was looking at is child abuse. Not just child abuse, you're looking at an adult out of control. Who's the adult here? If they had parenting in school, and in the 9th grade they studied about a 2-year-old and how they going through their stage of independence and how they've been watching everybody do everything all that time, and now they can do a few things and they want to do it. If they had been told and taught these things in school, if they had been told that's just a stage of independence they go through, you have to take your time and start disciplining though at that time. If they had been told that, when this happened in that kid later, they would reflect this in their mind. And they would start doing the things that come along therapeutic with that. And I'm going to give you an example of one therapeutic thing. Like 2-year-olds like to, mess with stuff, put stuff together. You might see them doing, you come on, hey, put that down, give me that. No, let me do it. All right? If you're a smart parent who had been taught that you got to comply with him, don't take his independence away from him, you say, okay, all right, you can do it. Can you show me how to do it? Can I watch you do it? Well, that way you're not taking his independence away from him, but you're associating with him. Yeah, and then when he finishes with it, you give him a little pat and you compliment him and just accomplishing stuff. And you're bonding. You're making him like you, trust you. What if young mothers and fathers were taught this in school? What if they were taught that to have that frame of mind about being a parent? I think it would come back just like math does, just like English does. 8 parts of speech, timetables. I think it would reflect back then too. And they would take this child and talk to him and not just go on a few scriptures out of the Bible. Okay, and I'm not going against the scriptures in the Bible because I go to a Christian church. But spare the rod, spoil the child and all this. What does that mean though? I mean, how many parents read that? Young parents especially. How many of them even think about what it means? Except when they hear their mom or dad or somebody say, oh, you put that rod on them, they're going to do the right thing. Well, perhaps they need to look in some commentaries or ask maybe some evangelists or somebody about what that rod really means. If you look in a commentary, it's going to tell you the rod means a little switch. Small switch. It's not meant to make any abrasions on the skin. An ignorant parent does not apply that type of discipline to discipline. What they do is they grab whatever may be close by, because if they take out their anger on this kid, that's what makes them lose control of their mind, because their mind never been trained to think any other way. They need parenting classes in these schools. 18 years of development. 18? Anything that complicated doesn't need previous study? Can a doctor go out and perform an operation without study? Can an engineer construct a building? Can a lawyer defend a case? No, they can't. They have to be previously trained. And we have other parts of the curriculum that trains, such as science, such as history, such as government. All this stuff trains them, to be politicians, businessmen, all that. We need to get rid of backward thinking that, well, they never had parenting class before, why they need them now? That's kind of narrow thinking, and that's not thinking that everything changes. We didn't have crime like it was back then like it is now. We didn't have children running around dyeing their hair all different kind of colors and sticking little ornaments in their nose and cutting real decent pants, making them look ugly in that fashion. That's insanity, and we're allowing it to happen because of parenting. You see, we don't just need parenting. We also need parenting influx and embellished with something called character counts. What character counts means is teaching young mothers and fathers who are learning parenting skills about respect, sensitivity, manners, loyalty. All these things, they have to be taught. These are social skills. You want to get along with everybody in society, then they have to think. All these things make you think, not just about yourself, but everybody else around you. They need parenting classes embellished with character counts. That's what's really needed direly. Now, you ask, baby, how long that would take to have any effect? It would take a long time because it's gradual. It's gradual. You're planting a seed and you're watching this seed grow, all right? And you're also lessening that other seed that's out there that's going the wrong way. You have to start from the basics. If you don't start from the basics, then you're not going to get the picture. That's why lawyers study history. Everything is going back. You have to start from the source and trace it up to find the cures and solutions. The solution, God told me to reveal to you, is to put parenting classes in our schools from the 9th grade through the 12th grade. And that should not be a political matter either. I mean, Republicans, Democrats, or whomever, moderates, or whomever you want to be, you shouldn't object to your own kid benefiting from that type of amelioration to society in the long run. Just like, okay, what about global warming? Aren't we doing things right now to try to curb this catastrophe that's going to happen if we don't? Okay, if we're doing that, then is it ridiculous to think that we should put parenting classes in our schools from 9th to the 12th grade so young men and women who have children can know something about them before they have them? That seems like it could fill the bill of common sense, reason, logic, and practicality for people who exercise proper discernment. We can do this. God said do it. Now, it's up to you whether you do it or not. I'm just a messenger. I'm not perfect. I'm me. I know one thing. God got me, and my good always outweigh my bad. So I'm good. Okay, but we need to get on board and not just start a dialogue about parenting. Actually begin parenting classes as a curriculum, and that won't be no monstrous task either, because they got millions of parenting books right now on shelves in every library, bookstore, and everywhere else. I mean, all this stuff has been studied. Smart mothers and fathers, and usually the educated one, and I don't want to stereotype anybody, they go get parenting books and they read those parenting books because they don't know nothing about raising their own kids. And oh yeah, by the way, since I mentioned that, it's not just the poor people who don't know anything about parenting. It's also rich people who are career orientated, especially if both of them career orientated. Who says your nanny knows anything about raising your kid? So they got, rich kids come up to be bad people because nobody parenting them. All right? Now, I have one other little point that I want to make, and I'm not prognostication. I'm not getting political with this. And I just would like to say that since they did take prayer out of schools, even maybe little indicators of a savior can help, deter or cause a curiosity in the mind that might ask somebody a question about religion or church or something in the prayer. So I would advocate putting prayer back into the schools along with putting the parenting classes. Now you think about it. And you will be able to judge for yourself. Look inside of you and you search this message for truth. You search it for common sense. I could have said a lot of other things. I never get tired of talking about parenting. And I could talk about more than parenting also. Because when God gives you a gift in one area, He usually gives you a gift in another. I gave you what He gave me to give you. I hope that you do take it and consider it and think about it and let it be free of any prejudices or pre-thoughts about something different. I mean, just be real with yourself. And that don't take much. You just have to examine everything for truth. And if you have what God gave you, good common sense, reason, logic, and be able to have discernment, you'll know the truth from a lie. It's not difficult to do. I thank you for your attention and your time. And I thank God for using me as a vessel to deliver this message.